There's a fundamental problem in how you think about this whole issue. And that is, you think that Hamas is a state and that Israel is a state. And this is a classic case of interstate politics where realism applies. But that's not what's going on here. This is a case where you have a greater Israel, and Hamas is a group that operates inside of greater Israel. And this is a resistance movement. That's what's going on here. This is not interstate relations. Realism doesn't have a lot to say about relations between Hamas and Israel. Hamas is not a state. You said before that, one could argue that Israel is facing an existential threat. This is not a serious argument. Do you really believe that Hamas is an existential threat to Israel?
Well, I think it would be an existential threat if the US dialed down their support to the level you're suggesting. So I think if Israel, which is a state, is
I don't believe that's a serious argument. I'm sorry. Israel is a remarkably powerful state. In my opinion, it is militarily the most powerful state in the region. It is the only state that has nuclear weapons. Hamas doesn't even have a state, right? It occupies Gaza, which is part of greater Israel. It's remarkably weak. This is the kind of threat inflation that you get in the West, in places like Britain, where you operate, and places like the United States, where I operate, that are all designed to justify what Israel is doing, right? If they're facing an existential threat, if this is the second coming of the Third Reich, if Hamas fighters are the new Nazis, then, you can make an argument that what you're doing here is you're killing large numbers of Palestinians to avoid another Holocaust. That's not what's going on here. Hamas is not the Third Reich. They're not an existential threat to Israel.